What is going on, everybody? So today we're going to do something a little bit different, just have a sit down, talk about a couple things, might get a little bit ranty at times. And honestly, I'm not a huge fan of doing this just because I feel like every time I do this, you just kind of piss off a portion of your audience, and that's not great. But sometimes I like speaking my mind, and honestly, it'll be a switch up. So maybe this will be entertaining for some of you, maybe it won't. You can probably just put this on the background if you're doing something else. We're not going to be looking at too many graphs or anything, but two main things I want to touch on today. And the first one kind of goes hand in hand with the second point I want to talk about, but it's that a lot of people that I respected and that kind of motivated me to do YouTube in the first place, at least in the like Pokemon investing or just Pokemon in general, this sort of niche. A lot of people that I used to respect that had fairly large channels that actually used to speak their mind don't really do that anymore, right? They're kind of PG at this point. They dialed down the spicy takes. And honestly, it's kind of cringe to me because the only reason people actually do this is for the money, right? They get to a certain level where they just continue to grow. Maybe they're doing partnerships with certain businesses and they're limited to what they can say and what they can't say. Or maybe they just know that by speaking their mind and saying the truth, they will be pushing people away from their business who may buy boxes off them in the future and stuff like that. And, when I see YouTubers like this that have really dialed down what they say on YouTube, but then I'll go watch videos on Instagram and I'll look in the comments and they're down there saying the most outrageous shit that you could think of that would get anybody canceled on YouTube. It's like, why are you doing that off YouTube, but you'll do it on other platforms, right? It's really frustrating to me just how many people are losing who they are as a person just because they want to maximize how much money they could make. And honestly, one of the biggest problems I've seen on YouTube that I took issue with was back during Prismatic Evolutions and now going into Destin Rivals. A lot of stores were getting pushback from consumers for selling at market price. And that's kind of when we had the movement of, oh, I'm going to sell at MSRP, come to my store, join my email list, whatever. I'm going to sell boxes at MSRP. It really bothers me that we've gotten to a point where people can kind of manipulate stores into selling at MSRP. And stores that do sell at MSRP are only doing so because it's actually a net benefit for them to do that. And you have to put this into the context of what's actually happening. So a lot of these stores we saw during Prismatic, if you'd watch their videos, they'd be like, go to my website and sign up for my email list, and I'm going to send out an email when the box goes live, whatever. You can try and get it at MSRP, or text Prismatic to 420 069 6969, and you'll be able to get Prismatic for MSRP or a chance at it, right? Guys, these stores have built up massive fucking email lists over the course of like 2 months, to the point now where having an email list of like 50 to 100,000 people is worth way more to them than having an extra $40 to $50 a box. And it's just so surprising to me the things that people actually get upset about in this hobby, when if you put everything into context, it really just makes no sense. And this kind of leads into the second thing I want to talk about in this video, which is that you're not a victim. There are way too many people in this hobby right now that are making rage bait content. They're making content that they know will get clicks because it upsets people. And honestly, all the power to you if this is the type of content you want to make, because I know for a fact that a lot of these people are making huge money off of doing this. They're also building their personal brands and positioning themselves well in the future to even be making more money. And I understand that entertainment value is a thing, and I'm not trying to take away from that, but I'm saying that there is different forms of entertainment and some that actually provide a benefit to society. Whereas if you're just making rage bait content and making people more angry, sure, they might be entertained, they might engage with it, but what is that actually doing for society as a whole? And I see a lot of these creators on the internet bashing investor bros or people that sell Pokemon cards and saying that they're not providing any value. All they're doing is hoarding product and making it more expensive for other people. Well, what are you actually doing? I mean, you're not making it any less expensive for people. You're not adding any sort of education to the content that you're making. And all you're doing is making people more upset with life than they should be. And on top of it, you're doing so specifically for views and to make money yourself. So when I see people saying that, investor bros are hyping everything up, they go set to set like it was Prismatic, then it was Journey. First of all, I said Journey fucking sucked out the gate. I didn't pre-order any Journey together, and I got so much shit when I said that I wasn't going to be pre-ordering Journey Together at MSRP when I didn't even know what cards were inside. I had so many people, even other investors, telling me that that was a bad decision. And look now, like if you bought Journey Together at MSRP, you can't make money after fees and shipping right now. Like you're still sitting on that. And I think in the future, I'm going to be able to get Journey Together at a cheaper price still. I genuinely believe in that. I don't think it's a great set. Maybe it has an Obsidian Flames run where it just pops off, but I really think a lot of these sets you will be able to get cheaper in the future. But it's just so rich to talk to your audience and say that investor bros are only doing this to make money and they're self-interested when you're literally doing the exact same thing with rage bait content. And the sad part is that it's actually working. There are so many people on Facebook, in Reddit forums, and I've experienced this firsthand because I do list some stuff on Facebook. I've literally had people go to my Facebook page and then find my fiance and other people and start messaging them just because of me trying to sell boxes. I've also had people react negatively just to any of my posts because they say I'm a scalper or whatever. I've had hate messages and Instagram on Facebook as well. And the reality is, stuff like this, 151, Crown Zenith, okay? Literally every single booster box case back here of Sword and Shield, all of them. Every single one of them. I bought all of my Sword and Shield on the Pokemon Center for MSRP when it was actually above market price. You could have bought those boxes cheaper on places like Hobbiesville, Catch a Card, Cans and Games, like anywhere in Canada, right? Pokezone.ca, Cardboard Hero, any of these places had booster boxes cheaper than the Pokemon Center. I still bought them on the Pokemon Center at that time. And this is really just the reality of making different choices in life. Whatever you do, it's going to lead to different outcomes. And the fact that people just cannot accept that, people see the world differently. And even though I see it very black and white, someone else might not. But the reality is, you probably should be trying to see things through a balanced perspective. So to give you guys an example, right? Because I see so many people complaining about not being able to get cardboard at a decent price, because that's ultimately what we're doing. We're trying to buy a product as cheap as possible. Consumers want to get the product as cheap as possible. And I just can't mentally wrap my mind around complaining about this type of thing or being genuinely upset about it. And a lot of my perspective changed because honestly, for the longest time in my life, I was like that. I complained about everything. I thought the government was at fault for all of my issues. And a lot of that started to change for me when I got out of my little bubble. I spent most of my life in Canada. And then honestly, after graduating from university, I spent time in South America. My fiance is from Colombia. I've lived down there for extended periods of time. And if there's any Colombianos watching, I lived in Bogota. I lived in the north of Bogota, which is like the rich area, upper middle class. It's very nice up there. Still quite dangerous compared to like where I am in Canada, but very nice place. My fiance's family is from Soacha, and if you guys know where Soacha is, yeah, not the best place in the world, right? So going to visit there, and there are some memories that are just so ingrained at this point, and things that were incredibly sad to witness. And one of those was like just seeing a mom with her young daughter, and they were literally going through kind of like on the corners of like every block. There's normally like a garbage pile where people dump their garbage. And they were literally going through the garbage, trying to find things. Like, I don't know if they were looking for food or just clothing or whatnot. And they found like a doll that had a couple arms and it was missing a leg or something. Like, it was in really bad shape. But the kid was just so stoked and happy because she now had a toy, right? And I remember just watching this. I was waiting for my taxi and we were like 10 feet away. And it just blew my mind, the things that people actually get excited about, right? Because they don't have anything in life. And honestly, not even taking it to that extreme, but just the fact that in Colombia, a lot of people there work like 50 to 60 hours a week. And then they're also spending 2 to 3 hours in transit every single day, whether they're taking a bus or the Transmilenio in Bogota. And honestly, like, could you imagine working 10 hours a day and then also having to commute 2 to 3 hours where when you're on that bus, there's a high chance you get robbed if you give papaya, if you're, falling asleep or whatnot. If you're a younger woman that's good looking and you're small, like there's a chance of being sexually harassed or even something worse happening, like being kidnapped, right? Like it's just so fucked up how we complain about shit in Canada and the US and the Western world. And our issues are like cardboard being a little bit too expensive because everyone wants this fucking product right now, right? And people are saying it's all scalpers and shit. It's like, bro, your issues in life are so embarrassingly small and pathetic and irrational compared to 99% of the world and what they're going through. Like, just imagine this. If you're making $60,000 USD, okay? And I know a lot of you guys are making more than that, but if you're making $60,000 USD and you're single, you don't have any kids, you are in the top 1% of people globally in terms of net worth. 60,000 USD. You are in the top 1% of everybody in the entire world. And even knowing that, most of these people have the audacity to get on their phone that was made in a sweatshop in China by child labor, or get on their computer that was made in the same fucking place under the same terrible conditions for like a 12-year-old kid, right? That's putting components together, where the battery's probably being mined in fucking East Africa, right? Like, it's just all of this shit that's happening for you to just live your privileged life, and you have the audacity to get on the internet and complain because cardboard is too expensive. And look, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to complain and to raise awareness about issues. Like, obviously botting is terrible in Pokemon. I think the distribution problem, distros selling product to LGSs at a very high rate, or holding back product, or backdoor deals, like, all of that should be addressed by Pokemon. And you do need to complain about it to make a change. But there is just so much irrational hate in the hobby now from people that are living privileged lives, which again are probably in the top 5 to 1% of people in the world, that don't understand the issues that most people actually go through and how great of a life they actually have. And there are so many people that say outlandish shit on the internet and get away with it. Like, I could never imagine genuinely having rage in my heart and hoping that someone who maybe invests in cardboard or a collectible, whatever it is, hoping that all of their product goes to zero and that they lose all their money. Like, just saying that sort of thing is just genuinely like bizarre to me. I could never imagine going up to someone who was like overweight and being like, yo, I hope your diabetes kills you, right? Like, I hope you get a debilitating illness and, you have to amputate a leg or something. Like, it's just so bizarre how some of these people think, like, having genuine hatred towards other people just because they make different life choices. And again, this is coming from someone who had a political channel in Canada that talked about immigration and just corrupt fascist laws that the government's implementing. Like, it's really easy to get semi-viral or viral videos going just by talking about things that make people upset. But if you're not actively trying to be part of a solution or offer a better alternative for people, all you're doing is just making people more angry than they should actually be, and you're doing it for monetary purposes. And again, if you want to do that for monetary purposes, that's fine. If you want to call people out for investing in sealed Pokemon product, that's totally cool. But at the same time, when you're doing the exact same thing with the same goal in mind, which is monetary return, don't be surprised when people eventually figure out what you're doing and they stop eating your shit up like it's candy. And look, I'm not sitting here saying I'm a saint. I'm not even sitting here saying I'm moderately successful, because I'm not, right? Like, I lived at home for most of my 20s. I managed to save up a decent amount of money, and I got lucky. I put a lot of that into Brilliant Stars, Chilling Reign over here, Fusion Strike, Lost Origin down on the bottom that you may or may not be able to see. Like, I got lucky. I bought a lot of that for MSRP in late 2023. I'm now up to 300%, even over 400% on some items. And it's worked out pretty well for me, right? And a lot of that comes down to risk, like genuine risk. Like, it wasn't a guarantee. And I remember watching a Rudy video like 2 years ago, and it was kind of one of the main motivators about why I put so much money into Pokemon at the time. And he was kind of just talking about, like, if you're on the sidelines, right? If you're not invested, you're not going to win. Like, it's very difficult to win if you don't take that big risk. And everyone I've talked to in my life that's been successful, some people that unfortunately aren't here anymore, but a couple of my uncles, they were massive risk takers, even when they didn't know the outcome. The one started a water company in the States that grew pretty large. The other one started a blueberry farm in Victoria, and he's done great things with that as well. And they didn't know it was going to work out, right? But they felt pretty confident in what they were doing. and they bet on themselves. And I kind of did that with Pokemon, right? To the best extent that I could. If I had more money at the time, I probably would have bought more too, to be honest. And the way I saw it, it was a way for me. And again, like I'm not saying I'm rich because I'm not rich, but I've made about $100,000 off of Pokemon cards over the past 2 years. A lot of that isn't realized yet. Maybe like 30% of that is, 70% isn't. It's still unrealized gains. But point being, right? Like net worth up 6 figures in 2 years because of Pokemon. And I'm not saying that to brag, but it's just like people make different choices. A lot of people didn't want Sword and Shield product. It just sat there on Pokemon Center for years. Anyone could have bought it. Genuinely anyone. If you had a credit card, if you had a PayPal, and you had an address in North America, you could have literally went on Pokemon Center and bought the product. And I'm not even someone who made crazy money or made insane plays. There were people loading up on Fusion Strike, Evolving Skies when it was like $80, $100 a box, Chilling Reign as well. People took way larger risks than me, and they're now up like, I don't know, 900, 1,000%. I would never look at those people and call them scalpers if they're trying to sell a box now at market price, okay? Because it's the market price. That's the reality. They took a risk. Now they get the reward of doing that. If you hate on someone for taking a massive risk and having a successful outcome, that's not their fault, okay, that you didn't do that. And maybe you're just upset that you didn't do the same thing they did. But that is life. That's how things work out. People are going to do better than other people based on their choices. Every day we get up, some people eat shit. They'll have a Coca-Cola, they'll eat a pizza, they won't exercise. And other people, they get up, maybe they have a green tea, they eat something healthy like avocado toast, I don't fucking know. They go out for a walk. Like every choice you make is ultimately going to affect where you end up in life, and you just need to accept that. And the faster that people do accept that and stop blaming all of their issues and problems on external things like the Pokemon company, like other individuals buying product, like the government, whatever it is, the sooner that they're actually going to be happy with their lives. So I don't know. I just hope we get to a place on YouTube again where people act more genuine and they don't just sell out for the money all the time. And again, you know, if you want to do that, that's great. Like live your life. There's way more successful people than me, so who am I to judge? But there's an old Chinese proverb or Chengyu, whatever you want to call it. Someone's gonna roast me in the comments, but it goes something along the lines of "宁可站着死，绝不跪着生," which means like I would rather die standing than live kneeling. Just so many people live their lives according to the rules of people that really aren't relevant to them, or they alter the course of what they feel is right just because they're, you know, scared or they want more money or whatever it is, right? External validation. And I just really appreciate people who are genuine and speak their mind and don't change, even if it's at the cost of ultimately their bankroll or whatever. So I'll leave it at that. You guys let me know in the comments down below what you think. And just remember, you know, if you are upset with the world, really few things that you need that'll make your life so much better. You need God. You need exercise, you need some sunshine, and you need a lot of sleep. And you do those 4 things, maybe throw water in there as well. You get a little bit more of all of those things, life gets a lot easier. It really fucking does. So I'll leave you guys with that. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe wherever you are in the world. Also, if you're shopping, eBay, TCG Player, Hobbiesville, Cardboard Hero, I have affiliate links. Free and easy to use. I get a small kickback, helps me out. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.